This conference will now be recorded.
Call this meeting to order. Roll call, Shannon.
Commissioner Gandy,
Here.
Commissioner Butcher,
Here.
Commissioner Bowe,
Here.
Commissioner Compost,
Here.
Mayor Trevino.
Here. Commissioner Bowe will lead us in prayer and pledge.
Please bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we first want to offer up our gratitude for the many blessings you have given us and the favor you continue to show upon us. We thank you for the steady improvement we have seen in our area for the COVID rates continuing to decline and for the vaccines to continually become available. Thank you for protecting our families and loved ones. We ask for continued protection over our frontline workers, that you bless their hands and feet as they do the work. We ask for the mercy upon teachers and students as they are transitioning back into person learning. We ask for wisdom, integrity during these meetings, that we could continue to lead our community through example with honor. We ask for your peace with every decision and help us develop a greater understanding and compassion for those we serve. Thank you again for the many blessings you have given us, and we pray we could be good stewards of those blessings. In God's name, amen.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. A salute the flag of the state of Mexico, the seal symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures.
Do I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the agenda as submitted.
Second. Motion was made by Commissioner Compost, second by Commissioner Gandy. Is there any discussion? There is no discussion. Roll call, vote, Shannon.
Commissioner Compost,
Yes.
Commissioner Butcher,
Yes.
Commissioner Gandy,
Yes.
Commissioner Bowe,
Yes.
Mayor Trevino.
Yes. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion in consideration of the minutes of March 22nd, 2021.
I'll second.
Motion was made by Commissioner Gandy, second by Commissioner Bowe. Is there any discussion? There's no discussion. Roll call, vote, Shannon.
Commissioner Bowe,
Yes.
Commissioner Gandy,
Yes.
Commissioner Butcher,
Yes.
Commissioner Compost,
Yes.
Mayor Trevino.
Yes. Moving on to Commissioner and staff reports. Public Works Director Wyatt.
Mayor and Commissioners, as requested by Scott, last couple of meetings, here's a rough breakdown of some of the equipment replacement plan, the ICIP that is currently for the wastewater treatment plant. And only made one copy of the bottom side. It's just kind of a rough thing I threw together, but on the bottom side on the ICIP for the renewal or kind of rework of the wastewater treatment plant. As you can see, that was built in 2006, 2007, the total rework of it. The SPRs are in need of some work on the aeration units that are there. They're 4-inch PVC, and we had constant of them blowing apart and everything else. We did receive that last week on them to come in and actually totally strain one SPR. Then come in and rework all the heads, all the PVC plumbing and everything. At the same time, I would definitely like to blast them out, recoat them inside, make sure everything is good to go for our future use. But as you can see, the $160,000, you can pass that around after kind of, but $160,000 just for them to come and we have to drain it, kind of clean it out so they can work in a safe, clean environment. Them just installing everything, but there's multiple heads. I believe there's 256 heads in total, the aeration head, the bubblers in those units. but that's kind of a rough, there still are some other projects, still kind of, it describes, the lift station, kind of getting some engineered estimates on our flows and capacities of everything coming in, especially on our North Love lift station. Currently, it's on Wednesday. I will be going to Amarillo to pick up the pump for that station, and one brand new one's coming in, hopefully within 2 weeks after that. So that one should withhold all the new flow. It's the same, but they're brand new pumps. So with grinding and everything else, that all the materials that are coming from the hospital and all that section of town.
So are we seeing an overall increase in our sewage usage?
Yes, 2000, when I first started, 2007, 2008, the plant is a 2.5 million gallon plant. We're currently operating right over 1 million gallons. When I started working, it was around 0.75, 0.6 to 0.75. So we are seeing a major increase within the last couple of years.
So our capacity is what? Our capacity,
2.5 million
so we're
is the plant capacity.
So we're running with
less than half.
We're right.
90%?
Yeah.
Capacity?
Well, 2.5, we're running at 1 million.
Yeah,
So,
probably 89%.
yeah. But I think the plant itself, we just have some mechanical stuff, and actually the aeration and digesters and everything do need to work in with the increase of the sewer increase. Down the road, I do see that is something that preventive maintenance, the PM and everything else, that we definitely, the implementation of that money, those funds coming in.
Do you have a yearly maintenance plan, or is it that you fix things when they break? How's that?
They go through and on a monthly basis, they go through and all the pumps and motors, they shut them down, inspect them, grease them, belts, motors, everything like that. There's 2 big old air filters out there for the air system that goes through. They do have 2 of them, so they blow them out. They are expensive, so we try to get as much life out of it as possible. But as far as the bubblers and aeration, if inside the SBR itself, all of a sudden you'll get the influence of one section just getting, and that's when they can tell that it's blown apart.
Right, so they're going through it monthly,
Yes,
checking things out?
they do the daily checks every morning as far as taking numbers, walking through, making sure everything's in operation, and they do on the maintenance on the motors and greasing them and everything like that.
And is there anything that you have, let's say like on your maintenance plan, that's every year or every 3 years that you change out regardless?
No, I would have to definitely look at that since Mike, he's been out there for years and he just left, so I have to look through the files and everything to find out if he does have anything set for that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, well, thank you, White, I appreciate this.
No problem, and I continue to get you any more documents, or I would definitely look at that, the equipment maintenance plan out there as far as the preventive and knowing the motors and everything like that.
Yes, well, thank you very much.
Go further.
Any more questions for?
I just have one more.
Yeah. I said he's got other stuff.
Yeah,
Oh,
continuing on the Main Street project, the South Main Street project, Mayor Trujillo did call me or message me last week. I did reach out to the supervisor for this area. They actually have put that project, the mill and overlay, on hold. The new district engineer, he went back and wanted them to reevaluate the road itself. They came back and took some test bores, and the base is just totally gone. It's gone. So for them to come in and actually rework that road, if you put in the six month to a year Band-Aid on it. So they're going to actually reevaluate, see where the finances come in for this new budget year, and go ahead and rework that soon. Try to see how much farther they can get with what they need to do to make it last longer. Another note, they talked to Constructors Inc. this morning. They were granted the approval for the Main Street project phase 1. So the state did grant them the contract for the Main Street renovation. And they will be starting in mid-June to right in the middle of summer.
And where's that gonna start at, Wyatt?
It's going to be starting actually on Commercial and Avenue D. They're going to start on their detention ponds, their big pond out there. And then they're going to start laying everything, all their 72-inch culvert down Avenue D, and then make a right on Main Street. And the end of the project is going to be on Jackson.
Not good.
Thank you. Wyatt. Shannon,
I have nothing to report.
City Finance Director, Gary.
Nothing really special to report, except that we're working on our budget and working toward the schedule that we're putting on. The big thing is it looks like we'll have everything ready and approved before our deadline, which is June 1st. And then, of course, looking forward to hearing what our auditor has to say this evening related to our audit.
The board have any questions for our accountant? Moving on to Commissioner Bowe.
I have nothing at the moment, David.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Bernard.
Nothing at the moment.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Gandy.
Just the $8 lights and hubs, but that doesn't have anything to do with Remington. All the LED lights, the Lovington Highway. Flash, no, they flash. Oh, that's all I can put.
Thank you. Commissioner Compost.
I'm good, thank you.
Thank you. Chief Manager.
On the cheap side of it, nothing new, sir.
Any questions for Chief Manager?
Anything on the manager's side?
Just a couple of things. The budget workshop for the commission would be April 21st and 22nd. We're looking at starting at 5 and going on as however long we need to go those days to get the commission's input. Also, just a quick rundown. We got word this morning of the capital outlay allocations for this year. The animal shelter was awarded $150,000. City Hall alarm, the security system was $200,000. The municipal water tower design, $70,000. The PD fencing security for the back lot, $65,000. And Lovington downtown water line extension replacement to the tune of $807,629.
That's good.
And that's at 600. We kept looking for it. We kept going up right there in front of the courthouse.
Those are what's going to be awarded in the new budget.
Is there any questions for the city
That's
manager?
it.
There's no question for the city manager. Chief Lizardo, is he available?
He's on it.
Yes. I have
Go ahead, Chief Lizardo.
Sorry, sir, I have nothing.
Lizardo, are you there?
Yes. Can you-
Go ahead.
No, I have nothing.
Guess he's cutting it. Oh, okay. Yeah, I want to say Chief Lizardo's a little ill this evening, so I guess we can move on. Thank you, Chief Lizardo. City Attorney McMahon, any questions for City Attorney? There's no question for City Attorney. Going to open it up for public comment. Go ahead. State your name and position.
Laura Brock for the City of Lovington Animal Control and Code Enforcement. I just wanted to inform y'all and give you a little update on the notice of the request for proposal for the lease of for property.
That's on the other one. You're on public comment. No, you're on non-action.
I thought you said public comment.
Non-action.
Yeah, but
You're on the non-action side.
Yeah, you're on the first discussion.
Oh.
It's a practice run.
Thank you, Laura. Open up the floor for public comment. Anybody else? Go ahead, Ed.
Evelyn Hogan with the Lovington EDC. We would like to introduce you to Rosie Insulan. She is the new EDC president. As you're aware, Chief was the president for the last 2 years and was gonna be the president for 2 additional years. But since you guys took him away from me, Rosie has stepped up. She was the vice president for 2 years and moved up the position, so she is now the new EDC director.
Congratulations,
The
Rosie.
president.
Congratulations.
I also wanted to remind you, if you have not RSVP'd for the legislative luncheon this Thursday, if you could please shoot me an email, text, call me, and let me know if you will be making it. We will be heading off the RSVPs for that starting tomorrow afternoon. We have to let our caterer know how many steaks to cook. That's only open to our members and our board of directors, and it's by RSVP only. So wanted to remind you of that. I also wanted to give you an update on the hemp plant. We were scheduled to close on March 31st. Due to the fact that the chief of police, or David, was the president of the EDC, he was no longer eligible to be an authorized signature for those contracts. So we requested, I know it's been tough, we requested an extension of additional 30 days so we can update our paperwork and update our paperwork to reflect Rosie as a new authorized signer on behalf of the EDC. We are set to sign on the 30th of April. We have received the earnest money already. The company has already deposited that and is actually looking really well. They're going to be here for the legislative luncheon as well. So any questions for me regarding that?
Did John, you get an invitation, John?
He did.
Oh.
I did for the one.
When did you say the closing on that was?
April 30th.
Okay.
And all the work out there has been completed on your side as far as plumbing, whatever's to.
The renovations that were done on our behalf, what we were required, part of our contract, has already been completed. We did stop doing any type of additional renovations due to the fact that we had not been able to receive a contract or earnest money, but now that we have received both, it looks like we'll be moving forward. They still have plenty to do in order for them to get a partial occupancy to be able to occupy part of the building. But they are ready for that. I know that the electricians have already been out there giving him quotes on additionals to what to do to move forward. But they're already working on that. We've got quotes for fencing, security, for all that. So they are moving forward.
And as far as employment for them, who they come to you or the EDC to?
If anyone is interested in applying for any of the positions that are out there, we have the applications on hand and they're welcome to come stop by and pick one up. We will help them with the job fair. I believe I have already about 100 applications for employment out there, but they are looking to potentially double that due to what they're going to be doing out there.
And as far as all the work that they have to still do, where's that funding coming from for that?
That's on them, the hemp company and their investors. Apparently they have some investors that are out of London. I know some of their investors from London and from California will be here as well. And that's something that they're going to invest in.
Okay, so there's no more out of pocket for City of Lovington?
No, what's left, I believe it's about $42,000 when what we had allocated to that project was $250,000 with the renovations, updating of lighting, electrical, bathrooms, all that stuff. We have used up a good chunk of it and we have about $42,000. So that when they do move in and they do purchase, that will be our final payment to them of our contribution.
Okay.
And so we fulfilled our obligations
But
completely.
the EDC did. I know that the city of Lovington has their $750,000 in your account. I believe it was allocated in our Valida account.
Yes.
But the state has already deposited the $750,000 and it's in the city's accounts.
Yes.
So whenever they start, when they sign, I believe they get an allocation the time that they sign. If they hire 10 employees, they get an allocation then. So they just have to meet certain metrics for them to be able to get disbursements from that $750,000.
So if somebody wants to apply, I mean, where would they find the site or what's the process there?
I don't know much on it. I just know that they had asked us to take applications for them. They don't know for what positions. It's just apply in general. And then they're gonna interview everyone.
So they can come to you, I guess?
They can call me, or they can come to my office, and I have applications here on hand.
All right, very good.
Anything else for me?
And just a reminder, Evelyn is across the street, across this hall.
I have moved, I'm actually right across the hallway, so,
You said that was this Thursday?
yes, sir, 11:30 to 1:30. And we have confirmed Senator Gay Kernan, Senator David Gallegos, and Representative Randall Bennett will be there. They will be giving an update on the regular session and special session.
Evelyn, I just want to thank you for all the work that you've done on this project. And Rosie and Chief Rodriguez and your entire board, we applaud you for that. And we know it's huge for Lovington, so we thank you for that.
It's going to be a good thing. It's a good thing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the report, Evelyn. Is there any other public comment? There's no other public comment. We'll move to non-action items. Dave?
Yes, sir. This one will be for Crystal. Crystal, your photo's in, upload button.
What?
Your photo's in and upload.
Oh, they didn't?
So update on the Tyler demolition. I have a photo because I was afraid they wouldn't update. If you guys want to pass this around. That's the current picture today. They have gotten rid of the concrete that was in the easement, and on the water line. They have demoed the carport back to about 3 foot away from the house, which still puts them too close to that easement because a carport's supposed to be built 5 foot away from any easement. That includes a utility easement. So I did talk to the owner's daughter today to clarify, because I had originally told them it had to be moved all the way back to the house, even with the house. And just due to their Spanish speaking. And so they said they understood me, but evidently they didn't. But the daughter said she would clarify that with them today when she went to see home to see them this evening. And that she would make sure they continue to get the rest of that demo back even with the house. So that way that carport is the 5 foot off of that easement. So they're moving right along with what they were supposed to do. So thank you. Do you have any questions?
When was our deadline on this?
You just told me to see how they went along, if you can give you an update. That's all you told me to do at the next meeting, so. I mean,
A year,
no,
2 weeks now? When did we actually start the project?
they were actually awarded, the vacation back in August. Yeah, July 27th of 2020 is when they were awarded. And that's why I had brought it in, is because they had done nothing. And then as soon as I brought it in, they started.
They don't have fun. It's quick. Me though.
Any other questions?
Crystal, your official name, just right out for the record.
Crystal Ball,
And you are.
I am planning and zoning coordinator. I didn't say that, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Crystal.
Thank you. There you
Dave?
Yes, sir. This one's the discussion of the veterinary facility RFP services. Just real quickly, as you are aware that we use that vet quite a bit for services for animal control. That contract that we currently have with them did no longer suffice for the needs that the animal shelter was needing. That lease was, we went out for another RFP, and Laura could fill you in on that, those details on that one, if you have any questions on that, but she'll definitely let you know what's going on with that.
Thank you. Laura?
Laura Brock, City of Lovington Animal Control and Code Enforcement Supervisor. Just want to give you an update. There's services that we didn't have in there, such as the spay and neuter. We also need a consulting vet to go with our licensing and stuff with the state licensing. And so when we go out to other vets to do it, it's more expensive if we can get it in-house and do it like on an hourly rate with our crew and everything, then that's going to be more, we can get more accomplished for our city and for our citizens also. Do you have any questions? We're asking for vets to basically for the lease and to be our consulting vet and provide spay, neuter, rabies, and health certificates. We have to have health certificates in order to transport the animals out of state. And that's what we do mostly with the rescue. Majority of the animals go to rescue.
And that RFP will be brought to the commission in May for award if the commission chooses to.
You've got some applicants interested in it?
Not yet, not sure. They usually come in usually as it gets closer to the deadline.
Okay.
We have to put it out there.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions about the board? Thank you, Lord.
Thank you.
David?
Yes, sir. The next one's a discussion of city facilities and building rentals. We've had a lot of public wanting direction and guidance from the commission as to if they are going to be allowed to use the softball fields, baseball fields for sports this summer, as well as the possible rental of the youth center facility itself. Like I told the commission, like I told the people calling, that we would need to get direction from commission. Currently, we are still at a turquoise level, which is still restricted occupancy levels. The other, that part the commission needs to decide before giving direction would be manpower. With the current reduction in forces, we have 2 people for Park and Recs department total. That will create a big issue for that department itself to continue doing that work if that's something we choose. We also did not budget for those fields to be used because the city does pay for all the chalking and all the maintenance on those fields itself. So if we could get direction from staff as to, from commission as to how they want us to proceed with it.
And the youth center?
They're asking about the rental of the facility itself for parties. And currently, right now, based on the contract that we have with Norley, it's going to be basically impossible because it has to be used for their center until June 1st. That's when that contract is over.
Chief, what about after that? What does the turquoise level allow us to do?
The turquoise or the after turquoise?
The turquoise.
It allows for 75% occupancy on it. So.
Okay. And what's the condition of our fields right now? What is it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Would the city,
Go ahead, Commissioner.
would the city be exposed to any liability if we allow these, or anybody to come in and use the field?
They would have to get coverage from their league and their insurance coverage before we would allow them to use those facilities.
But as a city, ourselves, would be exposed to any liability if they're not up to par?
Well, I think anytime you would invite somebody out there, you would increase your exposure to liability. I think that if we're leasing them out for a soccer field, if they were not in a standardized condition, you know, if there were some gopher holes out there, then certainly we're gonna have some problems and issues. You know, if the striping is just not perfect and the football field's a little longer, shorter than 100 yards, those kinds of issues, we won't have a problem. But if there are conditions out there that somebody could be injured, and we know about those that are above and beyond what you would normally expect in a soccer game, or football, baseball, you know, those kinds of things, then it is gonna present some additional liability for us.
Well, I certainly have some reservations about allowing anybody out there right now because I don't think they're ready. That's just me.
I think this is a non-starter. It's an issue we shouldn't even be talking about. Because of our finances, the positions we're in, employees, we don't have the manpower. This shouldn't even, and trust me, I'd love to have it open, everything open. But as far as the state that we're in, I don't even think we should be talking about this at this moment.
I just want to know some more about the 3-tier, 4-tier, 5-tier, where the levels really are. It's a 4-tier, 3-tier system, that's what we started off with?
It's a 4-tier.
It's a 4-tier?
Mhm.
So what's the final tier?
No, because turquoise is the last,
So it's not
Color.
completed?
and that's all the guidance we have from the state.
Okay. I was just curious. 'Cause
Yes, sir.
I had
Same question that I have, sir.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense, but really, nothing in this world does.
So, all right. That'd be it.
Unfortunately, I agree with Scott. It's just a year that's going to be again.
Do you want any clarification on that, David, or you good?
I'm good.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, moving on to action items. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to consider resolution 2021-020, approval of third quarter budget adjustments.
Second.
Motion was made by Commissioner Compost, second by Commissioner Bernard. Dave?
Yes, sir. Mayor and Commissioners, on January 14th, the commission approved blanket budget adjustments of up to $400,000 during the reduction in force. When me and Gary went through the budget, we identified an additional $186,000 that we could cut to help us shore up some of the money that we were going to be short for this fiscal budget. That those cuts obviously come from line items such as supplies, training, the pre-dam, and other items that we're not going to be using based on the reductions of the employees that the supervisors turned in. Like I said, it'd be a total of $586,000 total. That's with the $400,000 combined with the 186. And Gary can clarify more if you have any questions.
Any questions by the board?
Yeah, clarify the last month, $150,000 left.
Yes, sir. For the month of March, it was 150,000 less than the month prior.
So give me numbers, because it doesn't mean nothing.
We were at $450,000 that came in for the month of GRT.
Yeah,
So in the month
we
before, we were at 600?
No, we were at a little over
507,000 to 462.
So, and we budgeted roughly 616,000 per month is what was
Yes.
budgeted, and nowhere near have we been getting that.
Yeah, I was ready for GRTs from January.
Right. No, you just
Correct.
trying to get the numbers right.
Do you understand that, Scott? Commissioner? That's GRTs that come in from
Yeah.
January.
Well, my issue is with this here, I've stated it before numerous times to our last manager that was here, as far as having stuff to look at, records, data, stuff I can see here in front of me, and I can look where we're making these cuts from, what we're doing. There isn't anything in front of me. So as far as we vote on this, even if it's a great idea, mine is already no. Because I've asked before to have stuff to look at, and I'm not getting that. I'm not happy about it.
Any other questions? By the board?
Yeah, I just want to chime in on what Commissioner Bolt said. I think a lot of the problem that we as a commission have seen is that the numbers have not been consistent. And that's the biggest issue that I see that comes in front of the board. And we need to have the consistency so we know what decisions to make based on actual, true and correct, up-to-date numbers, which I don't believe we've gotten in the last several months. I think that's a big issue that we need to correct.
Appreciate that, Commissioner Fuller. You said, any other questions? Okay. Roll call vote, Jen.
Commissioner Butcher,
Yes.
Commissioner Bowe,
No.
Commissioner Compost,
Yes.
Commissioner Gandy,
Yes.
Mayor Trujillo.
Yes. Resolution passes. Moving on, motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion for resolution 2021-021, award RFP for a 5-acre site off of Gilmore Road.
Second that.
Motion was made by Commissioner Gandy, second by Commissioner Bernard. David?
Yes, sir, Mayor and Commissioner, as you know, we went out for RFP on the site. This usually was known previously as the man camp behind the cheese plant off of Gilmore. We only had one bid to come in from Constructors Incorporated. The term of that lease is 5 years with the one term to renew for an additional 5 years. The bid came in at $1,250 a month for the first 12 months, $1,500 a month after that for the next 48 months, the remainder of the lease. On top of that, they are going to use that facility for moving in their cement manufacturing for constructors. It will create additional jobs, the GRTs as well. They will do all the maintenance to the facility. They will level out what they need to and add whatever utilities they would need on their end. As far as the city paying for any of it, the city will not pay for any of the updates on that facility out there.
So at the end of the contract, are they required to bring it back to status quo? Where they picked it up?
Yes, it'll be cleaned. Yes, sir.
Just in case something was ever after that. So, yes, sir.
Is there a possible extension of that contract?
One additional lease option, which is 5 years. Yes, sir.
Any other questions about the board?
Wait, Patrick, that's pretty much in the ballpark
As far as rental, I think that particular parcel, the last time I was out there, probably 7 or 8 years ago. I don't think it's improved property. There may be a meter loop there left over from the man camp and a few things like that. But I think it's just unimproved.
Water sewer lines are about the only thing I'm gonna go out there. I think the water sewer lines are about the only thing.
Why?
Yeah, there's a mayor commissioners, it still has the service ran out there. Transformers, I believe, are gone. So the electrical for the lift station is accessible. The lift station pumps were actually pulled out by the man camp. But there is a fire hydrant out there, a 6-inch water line all the way out, and a 4-inch from the lift station pumping back towards the Chiefs Point Gilmore Road. So utilities are out there, but as Patrick said, in the last 8 years that it's been vacant, the weeds are probably 3 feet, 4 foot tall, and there's still some concrete pedestals out there that were left, but the site will be all flattened, everything hauled off, and when their lease is up, it will be cleared back to the original state.
Okay. So I think when you combine that with, possible GRT, it's probably in the ballpark where it should be.
Okay, so that's good.
And I believe the RFP went out for a minimum of 1,000, and they didn't come back, I think it's 1,250 for the first year.
That's good. Okay.
Thank you, Boyd. Any other questions about the board? If no other questions, roll call vote, Shannon.
Commissioner Gandy,
Yes.
Commissioner Compost,
Yes.
Commissioner Butcher,
Yes.
Commissioner Bowe,
Yes.
Mayor Trujillo.
Yes. Resolution passes. You'll have a motion.
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion for resolution 2021-022, acceptance of the June 30th, 2020 audit report and financial statements for the city of Lovington.
Second.
Motion was made by Commissioner Bernard, second by Commissioner Gandy. David?
Yes, sir. I'll turn it over to Finance Director Chapman.
Yes, essentially we'll be waiting to hear from our auditor via the voice system. Did we unmute her?
She should be unmuted.
Okay.
Ms. Wilby, are you there?
She did say it's busy tax in her house, in her office, and she'd be listening to the meeting and waiting for us to give her the cue.
Ms. Wilby?
Dion? Are you on the system? It is required, just so you know, for state law, for our auditors to give our board the presentation of our audit.
Does she have a number where we can call her?
Yeah. Yeah. Did speak with her earlier today, and she said she was prepared to give the presentation. I told her everybody via our system has an electronic copy. I didn't tell her I was giving you all hard copies. Well, yeah, if I may, as a reminder, this is one of those resolutions where we'll need every member's signature on the resolution. Is there another resolution? Okay.
Okay, maybe we could go forward and maybe she'll adjourn and get started. Go ahead and put that resolution on hold and move on to the next resolution. And once she answers, we go back. So we
Table until the end of
just table it till the end of.
Yes, sir. We can do that. Mayor, I'd like to table my motion until do a closed session in hopes that we can contact our auditor. Second for everybody.
Second. Motion was made by Commissioner Gandy, seconded by Commissioner Bernard. All in favor? I mean, roll call vote.
Commissioner Compost,
Yes.
Commissioner Bowe,
Yes.
Commissioner Gandy,
Yes.
Commissioner Butcher,
Yes.
Mayor Trujillo.
Yes, move that to the end. Thank you. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion for resolution 2021-023, approval of the clean tech rate increase.
Second. Motion was made by Commissioner Gandy, seconded by Commissioner Bernard. David?
Mayor and Commissioner, I'll turn it over to Gary.
If I may, your Mayor and Commission, obviously with the minimum wage increases, it definitely impacts an industry that relies predominantly on employees to provide the services. So they're in a situation, obviously, where if they want to attract employees or retain employees, they have to give some pay increases to their employees. We're looking at a situation where we would have an increase of $67.49 a month for them to continue to clean the Denton building for us. And I'm available if you have any other questions.
Gary, the resolution states that we're currently working with Magistrate Courts to increase our rent enough to cover this cost, but do we not have a lease agreement with them that prohibits this?
We do have a lease agreement, and the amount of their lease agreement already gives us enough money to cover this increase in the cost. However, I was trying to make sure that we were not pinched any, and I haven't received anything final from them because we're still working on a new lease agreement with the Magistrate Courts.
So what we have in place would already cover this increase in cost?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we won't have to approach them and ask them for more money right now, correct?
We do not have to. That's correct.
Gary? On that contract we have with them, does that include the whole Denton building or just the master portion?
Just the portion that they utilize. It's not, I don't know how much of the Denton building.
It's only the magistrate court side.
Does the other side of not being?
No, sir.
Stormy charge or something?
No, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Is there any questions about the board? There's no other further questions. Roll call vote, Shannon.
Commissioner Bowe,
Yes.
Commissioner Compost,
Yes.
Commissioner Gandy,
Yes.
Commissioner Butcher,
Yes.
Mayor Trujillo.
Yes. Resolution passes. Moving on, do I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion for resolution 2021-024, appointment of non-city employee to personnel board.
There's also an employee to recommend.
Oh, I didn't get to that part. I'm sorry. Yeah, I was in here.
I think it was Miss Rosie Inslee, as a matter of fact.
Let's see what we got here. Yes, you are correct. Rosie Inslee.
Motion.
For that position, please.
Second. Did anybody ever second?
No.
Okay, I'll second it.
Motion was made by Commissioner Gandy, second by Commissioner Campos. David?
Yes, sir, Mayor and Commissioners. This board, the Personnel Board, actually reviews all the accidents for the city. And we always have a civilian with a history of HR in the background to help us with any thing that we might be missing on our end of the city. That position was previously held by Amy Combs from Ferguson Construction that was vacated. The board has requested Rosie Insolin to be appointed to that position to fill that void.
Thank you. Is there any questions by the board?
Does Rosie want to fill that position? I guess.
I'm willing to help.
Okay, thank you. That was good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. If there's no other further discussion, roll call vote, Shannon.
Commissioner Butcher,
Yes.
Commissioner Bowe,
Yes.
Commissioner Gandy,
Yes.
Commissioner Compost,
Yes.
Mayor Scarpelli.
Yes. Thank you, Rose. Moving on to, I have a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to consider accounts payable.
Second.
Motion was made by Commissioner Campos, second by Commissioner Bernard. David?
I will turn it over to Gary.
If I may, your mayor and commission, our single largest expenditure obviously was the waste management, the $158,316.97 on that. And we did have a couple of out of the ordinary expenditures. For example, on the front page, where you see the Rocky Mountain Commons, there were a couple of generators that we needed to buy related to water and wastewater. Wyatt would have more information on those. So if you have any questions, I'm available to answer them.
Gary, $6,425 to the American Arbitration Association.
Yeah, that's related to our fire station, and I can't, this is Fire Station 2, and that's really all I know.
Chief, any idea?
It's the arbitration.
That's
legal
the
costs.
for cost for, part of the cost for arbitration.
In regards to?
Well, there's the issue about how much we spend.
Oh, okay,
So,
okay.
That's that issue.
So are they working to settle that right now, I guess? Is that what the money is for?
No, that money is for the arbitrator to provide services as we go through the process of discovery.
All right, thank you.
Resource wise.
Resource-wise, I'm going to put them down here. Yes, that's related to some flow meters that were purchased for the wastewater, but again, I think Wyatt should give better information on that.
Mayor, Commissioners, Mr. Gandy, Resource Wise is actually a company out of Lubbock. They installed 2 flow meters on our pivots in the state for us to have the flows of that water that we currently put out to the city for.
Okay, no problem.
Gary, what is Bound Tree Medical LLC payment for?
If I remember correctly, that's supplies for our ambulance department, but let me double check.
They get gloves, they get, their medical equipment.
Thank you.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. And then one to point out is Dion Willoughby. That was our final payment. The $13,142 our final payment for their work on our FY20 audit.
I gotta ask, $10 to the Mexico Law Enforcement Academy?
It's probably what was billed, because what we do is we send instructors over and they give us credit for sending that person over. So if we send credit, it's probably what was left over of the balance remaining based on how they wash it off.
I thought the academy was.
No. No.
Pro Force, law enforcement, $2,200,
Remember that one?
$2,272.
Pro Force. Okay, it just says police KS 4-shot launcher.
Oh, yeah, it's part of the, that money was, that part of the LEPF money that we're expending. It has to do with part of the SWAT equipment. It would be a multi-launcher for the non-lethal ammunitions.
Thank you.
Is there any other questions about the board? Good to go, Commissioner Bolt?
Yes.
Want to say appreciate, board appreciates you guys keeping the costs down. Roll call vote, Shannon.
Commissioner Gandy,
Yes.
Commissioner Compost,
Yes.
Commissioner Butcher,
Yes.
Commissioner Bolt,
Yes.
Mayor Trujillo.
Yes. Council table. Going to closed session, do I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to go into closed session pursuant to section 10-15-1, New Mexico State annotated 1978, subsection H2 regarding limited personnel matters.
Second.
Motion was made, but going to closed session by Commissioner Compost, second by Commissioner Gandy. Roll call vote, Shannon.
Commissioner Compost,
Yes.
Commissioner Bolt,
Yes.
Commissioner Butcher,
Yes.
Commissioner Gandy,
Yes.
Mayor Trujillo.
Yes, we are in closed session. Jimmy, can we check those? Oh, or try to. Okay. Here.
Yeah, did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to make sure that.
Temperature you sit on today.
Feels good.
Oh, chill.
I love the weather. I'm not gonna talk when Scott moves here. That's me all winter long. Polo shirt, thin jacket at the most. That's me all year long.
I love it, the V&D.
I'm telling you.
Wearing them up, ours killing my ass. You gotta do what you gotta do. So we're gonna play the game, you know, we got all the rules.
It's still playing, Jalen, on me.
Let's go.